Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Spideydude Experience. I'm Zach Joyner, your friendly neighborhood webmaster of Spidey-Dude.com, and executive producer of the Spideydude Radio Network. Before we get started, I want to shout out a couple of videos that recently were uploaded to the channel. We first up have our Amazing Spider-Man unboxing. 1/6 scale Hot Toys. It's the Andrew Garfield Hot Toys figure. If you have not checked out that unboxing and hobby discussing it, I highly encourage you to do so. Next up, we also had some recent news about the Amazing Fantasy 15 action figure being re-released. It's going to be a Target exclusive. If you want to hear some of my thoughts on how that's coming about, check that out over on the channel. And of course, we got to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Patrons such as our sensational tier, these are our $5 and up patrons, such as Adam, Allison, Cindy, Ed, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Keegar, Laura Howard, Lump Moose, Master Drammon, Phoenician, Scott, Vanessa, and Vicky. Thank you for your support. And of course, our VIPs, Scott, Sebastian, Venkman, and Winnipeg Webhead. Thank you for your support over on patreon.com. And then, of course, we have our friendly neighbor patrons that are up on the screen. And we really do appreciate it. If you haven't checked out our other fine audio programs over on Spidey Dude, first up, we got Clone Saga Chronicles, the show all about the 1990s Clone Saga and the Clone Saga related characters. Then we have Spectacular Radio, the show that ran for 26 episodes on Kids WB and Disney XD, with frequent guests being Greg Weisman. Amazing Spider-Man Classics has 2 seasons. Season 1 was 3 guys talking about Spider-Man from the beginning. Season 2 is Jack and Javi Trujillo talking about it from the beginning. And then we have the Sabusima Era Podcast. Me and Neil are arguing in the background. The Sabusima Era Podcast is the podcast that covers Sabusima's seminal run on Spectacular Spider-Man. Say that 5 times fast. Starting from the return of the Sin Eater all the way up until shortly before the Clone Saga. Voices from the Eyrie, a Gargoyles podcast, is a podcast about the Gargoyles animated series, the fandom, and everything surrounding about it, as well as the brand new comics that are available right now, written by Greg Weisman, co-creator from Dynamite Entertainment. And then the sister show of this program, Make Mine Mayday, the show all about Spider-Girl and her world. And our newest venture is the Slot Symposium. It's a Spideydude Radio Network comic binge collaboration between myself and Paul, where we talk about Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man from the beginning. Man, that's a lot of stuff. And of course, Books of X is the show all about the Krakoan era of X-Men, and the first 3 episodes are available here on YouTube. But moving forward, it will be a Patreon first show, hosted by myself and Neil Bogenrider. So that's all of our fine programs here on the Spideydude Radio Network. This episode, we're going to be covering two issues, issues 32 and issues 33 of Volume 6 of Amazing Spider-Man, the darkest story of them all. All right. I'm Zach Joyner, your friendly neighborhood webmaster. Hello. We've already got people in the comments saying hello, Zach and Crude from Matt. Thank you for being on, Matt. And of course, first up, speaking of Neil Bogenrider, he is Richard Reader. Reader?
Yes, Ryder. Zach, I'm gonna be honest, we had such a perfect thing going when I was taking control of the thing, and then you had to come in and start pressing buttons.
I know. But see, the audio listeners don't know that. Speaking of, if you're an audio listener, give us that 5-star review and leave us we'll read a review on the future episode. And if you haven't liked and shared and subscribed to this video, please do so. We really do appreciate it. And if you're an audio listener, pay no mind. We're going to have some possible references to visual aids and or live comments. So pay that in mind.
Next up, it's Adam. Hi, Adam.
Hello.
At Enchilada Legs on the Twitters. And finally, we have Josh in his new fun background that looks straight out of Amazing Spider-Man 2 closet.
Yep, this is my uniform for work. Definitely one of the more fun ones, but
yeah, I mean he's also wearing a very sexy shirt. Also, Vinkman says you're a dick writer.
Yeah, I know. That's the joke.
I do know that there are people that normally would be watching us because we are recording on a Thursday. I apologize. My fantasy football draft was last night, so I was busy. It's football season. Tonight's kickoff. The Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
Anyway, so welcome to the show. Thanks for being back on Winnipeg Webhead, of course, and Adam, welcome back, of course, and as well as Neil, the show that you can never escape from.
Yeah.
Welcome back, buddy.
I mean, he doesn't have to be here if he doesn't want to.
Okay,
he
bye.
doesn't want to be here.
There he goes.
He just noped out of here. Of course. All right.
And he's back.
He did read these issues, to be fair. He actually read the issues. He's not just showing up to be a troll. We are going to cover 2 issues tonight. And let me try to get my, I forgot to do this before the episode, but I'll try to pull the issues up on my Kindle because, let's see what happens. I actually bought these issues.
For once, I actually bought them.
That's not what I meant. I bought these issues. Damn it. It wants to send a code, and I don't have access to that phone number anymore.
I should change the phone number.
I have to call Amazon to change the phone number on the account.
Let's do it. That sounds like the present.
No.
This is why people tune in.
This is why people tune in.
That's exactly.
We just lost a
Amazon
just now because of that. It's great. All right. As I say that. All right. So I'm going to do a brief. Should I recap both issues? Do the recap of both?
Yeah, just do both of them.
All right. So I'm going to pull this up on my phone.
Ready to see Peter in that Sigma grind set.
Peter Parker.
I was like, what is Neil talking about? And that's okay.
Wait, that's Dr. Livesay.
What? Oh boy.
Hey, Zach, right. I've got him pulled up. You want to do the recap?
Yeah, just do the recap.
Okay. Oh. Sorry.
As I threw my phone down. It's fine. Do the recap.
Okay. So, unfortunately, the cover artist is J.R. with Nick Hollowell, who, as you guys know, is my nemesis as far as coloring goes. Books written by Zeb Wells, art by Pat Gleason, and colors by Marcio Menez. So the book begins in Craven's doing lewd things with Gabi Mommy, and he gets the sin out of her. He gets the sin out of her and into a pointy stick.
He banged the sin out of her. Let's just be real.
I know,
because that's what Craven does. Craven.
I'm trying to be polite. Yeah. For once. So Kafka hasn't gone back to normal though, and she's like, maybe I'll go back to normal when this knife goes in Norman's head. Peter, meanwhile, is going on, I guess you could call it a date with Michelle from Janice and Randy's wedding to try and figure out how to get them to speak to each other. They get into an argument when he finds out that Michelle is Tombstone's lawyer, and they both tell each other to screw off, and they will never see each other again. Meanwhile, back at Oscorp...
Because you demanded it.
What?
Peter being single.
Oh, okay, cool. Anyways, back at Oscorp, Peter simps for Norman, goes, I'm very proud of you, Norman. I'm glad that you're a real father figure that I always wanted. Unlike the man who sold his son's soul to the devil. We're never going to talk about that.
Poor Harry, man.
The power goes out, and Peter and Norman go to suit up. Norman gets into his lab only to find the gold goblin suit crucified on a pile of sticks, as Craven says, I'm going to make you whole again, buddy. It's sinning
with
time.
A bunch of candles that I have a lot of questions about.
They're candles, dude.
No, like how long did it take him to set those candles and put them in place is the question I have.
Too many. Peter suits up in the piss goblin suit and finds his way down to Norman's lab, where Craven's about to stab him with a spear, and instead, Peter uses the plasma engine to knock him down, and in the smoke, gets stabbed by Kraven with the spear while taking a shot for Norman instead. Peter gets imbued with Norman's sins as he tears off his mask and starts maniacally cackling. The next issue, after a shilling for Hickman's new secret project, the next issue, Peter is sitting in his chair, Patrick Bateman style, contemplating how he should have been edgy all along, and decides, hey, remember Kraven's Last Hunt? Let's talk about Kraven's Last Hunt. Time to not be friendly anymore. Norman runs to Peter's house, or apartment, and finds the Spider-Man suit in a laundry basket. Meanwhile, Kraven's freaking out because he goes, oh crap, I don't know what I was thinking. I took a very calculated risk, but man, I'm bad at math. And Peter shows up in the black suit and freaks the hell out. Kraven runs smart, and Peter basically manhandles Kraven into the sewers where he gets attacked by a swarm of vermin. Kraven barely manages to make it out alive, but goes unconscious as Peter drags him off into a grave and tosses Kraven a gun and says, here's this in case you want to skip to the end. Giga Chad moment. And Kraven starts screaming for his life as Peter closes the grave and starts shoveling dirt on top of it. To be continued.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that! I just speed ran the entire 2 issues. Look at that! Let's go.
Well done.
To be fair, the second issue, there's not much that happens.
It's basically one. It's one big fight scene along with Peter acting edgy.
Yeah, to be fair, there's not much that happens in the second issue. The first issue,
a lot more character building and
yeah, it was a little more nuanced. Like this chapter felt like it was just, I'll be honest, freaking Gleason carried this stuff, man.
No, this was definitely Gleason's time to shine. Putting aside the Kraven's Last Hunt comparisons, this was definitely Gleason's show to run.
And I'm going to pull up a couple of pages that I feel like are highlights. Let me upload them right quick. Because I feel like...
Real quick, Tevya, if you're asking where Mary Jane is, you're looking at him. It's Norman. Norman's Mary Jane in this issue.
Yeah.
He's mournfully looking. He's mournfully looking for Peter in his apartment.
Yeah.
Well, Mary Jane is off building her, working on, perfecting her powers. Upload is taking too long. What the? Come on, people. Why is StreamYard not working?
It's working for me. Which page do you want me to upload?
Oh, I got. Hang on. Maybe. So, this page, this was the final page of the first issue. That is baller.
Good imagery.
God, that's so good. I mean, the freaking the goblin and the shadowing,
I didn't notice that until you pointed it out. That's good.
Yeah, it looks awesome. That is legit good. And then I'll be honest, in terms of artwork with the drawing of the black suit,
Gleason draws a really good black suit, man.
Gleason is trying his best to do a Mike Zeck impression, and I'm here for it.
He did. He homages the one cover from ASM.
Yeah.
Is it? I was about to say it.
And there's McFarlane right there.
Yeah, that's straight up McFarlane. I mean,
that's the 300 pose basically.
Yeah, it really does convey the fear. I think the writing does do a good job. I was talking with a certain other podcaster
with the team.
No, I was talking with a certain other podcaster on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Who made a proclamation that this is the best since Kraven's Last Hunt. I don't.
Gotta wait a little bit.
And my response to him was, I want this story to be finished before I can make a proclamation of such.
Real quick, I just want to point out that you're being a contrarian if you say that just by default, because most people consider Kraven's Last Hunt to be the best Spider-Man story ever made. So by saying this, I've seen people say this is better than Kraven's Last Hunt, and that's just being a contrarian.
To me, first of all, I think the artwork is on par with what Zach did. I think this is a gorgeously drawn issue, both of them. I think he draws Gabi Mami the best. Like, good
design here.
Look what you've done, my son. Look what you've done. But like this, like Craven would bang Kafka. I mean, I was getting like 90s show vibes because that was like they kind of combined Kafka.
Right.
So that's the vibe.
The 90s show.
Forgot about that.
It's definitely that vibe. So like, even though I know in continuity, actually they're two different people. It still kind of warmed my heart a little bit. I was like, okay, all right, son of Craven banging Kafka, clone of Kafka. It's fine. Two clones banging. I'm all for banging clones. Okay,
Ben fan.
But so like I think that worked. I do like how she manipulates him into going and hunting Norman, and then it completely backfiring because Peter decides that he's gonna simp for Norman. The relationship. So it's really weird for me to read these current issues while I'm reading like the Conway, the end of Norman's life era.
Right. He's about to kill him.
real quick, Matt Bird, no, the What If Spider's shadow has nothing to do with these. That's a completely different Elseworlds.
Yes. Yeah, that's a whole...
And also, Tevye, we've been asking that question of how Craven's Last Hunt is canon, even though they're not married. Don't ask too many questions about it because we've been asking that same question since 2007. We haven't got an answer in 16 years. We're never going to get it.
And like people have even asked DeMatteis, and DeMatteis said, "I wrote it, and I still consider it canon that they were married during, because otherwise the story falls apart without him being in that actual committed marriage in that type of relationship, because that's what drives him to get out of the grave." So it's going to be really interesting to see the dichotomy between Craven 87 getting out of the grave and how that works. So my good buddy J.R. Fettinger has always maintained that if you ask what came first, was Norman evil before the serum, or did the serum cause him to become evil? What comes first, the chicken or the egg? I think there's a very big philosophical question that you can raise and sort of debate. Now, granted, The Child Within, things like that kind of solve that particular question. I think the Return of the Revenge of the Green Goblin story goes more into Norman's background and how Norman, was psychologically tortured by his dad, which is why part of the reason he treats Harry the way he does.
Hang on, real quick. Can we talk about how in the restaurant when Peter and Michelle are having dinner, Peter has a straw in his glass, but he takes a sip out of the glass?
That's stupidity. Why would you do that, Peter?
Let me pull it up.
Okay, that's probably my least favorite scene in these two issues.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons.
He does drink out of the cup with the straw going to the...
I did not even notice. How the hell did you notice that shit? What the hell?
Look at that! He got the straw in there, and then he's just taking a sip out of the glass. Like, why do you have the straw?
He even plays with the straw like a couple panels before.
Yeah.
Damn it, Gleason. We gotta...
We loved you, and you did this to us.
You betrayed us.
Everybody betray me. I'm fed up with this world.
That entire scene. So, like,
I didn't like it.
The setup.
No, yeah, I didn't.
The setup with this scene is Peter's, meeting with what's her nuts.
Not Michelle Gonzalez.
Not Michelle Gonzalez, because again,
What was the point of naming her Michelle, by the way? Was this meant to be like a Michelle Jones reference, or
I don't know. That's my question. I'm very confused by this because, like, we get Gleason, drawing Black Cat in a towel, which I will never I will never complain about.
Go back to horny jail.
But, like, you got Felicia calling Peter, going, "Are you going to go on a date with this chick?"
By the way, I don't like that Felicia's only using this image, using this comic, is to just be in a towel and go, "Hey Peter, sorry I dumped you. By the way, how's that other lawyer you're about to bang?"
It like that to me.
It feels very reductionist to Felicia's character.
It feels like she's just there. Like, it doesn't feel like she's a character. She just feels like a chess piece that was being put in to remind everybody that they broke up.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Josh just called your ass out. That's sad.
I know. I was hoping someone would.
Oh, there's a touchdown. Nope. Sorry. Anyway,
turn the TV off. We're talking about comics. This is serious.
It's life or deathly serious business.
Last stand of the Detroit Lions.
So, just the way, like, I'm sorry, but this whole thing where, I did appreciate that Peter was drinking soda while she's drinking wine.
That feels like more of a Pat Gleason detail rather than like a continuity note.
Because Peter doesn't drink.
No, I know, but that doesn't feel like something Wells would like put into the script. Like, oh, hey Pat, draw Peter drinking a soda.
And so this whole
I have to see the script.
This whole argument between the two is so disingenuous because it's like, why are the two of them meeting to try to patch up Janice and Randy's relationship?
I feel like they're not talking to each other, and Peter and Michelle came together and said, "Hey, maybe we should get together and figure out how to get them in a room together."
Yeah, but this could have been a phone call. That's my point.
Yeah, but do you want to look at a phone call conversation? That's boring.
I know, but again, like, the way,
I gotta say though, Michelle has drip.
She doesn't even look the same as she did last issue, though.
That's not.
No, like aesthetically, when you look at her from the last issue,
yeah, she looks nothing like
she looks nothing like she does in this issue.
Well, she's still got the short hair and the glasses.
It's the Romita Jr. effect of, hey, here's a generic character, someone else do something with it.
But he didn't even draw her really in that, I don't think.
He drew her once, and then it was who was it? It wasn't Zay Carlos. It was someone else. It was the person who drew the bachelorette party.
Yeah,
I don't remember. But yeah, I feel like Peter being morally objectionable to like someone being a villain's lawyer is weird, considering that one, he's dated a super villain. He's dated Black Cat, like a known criminal, since the beginning of this run. So it feels kind of uncharacteristic of him to go like, "Oh, what? You're a bad guy's lawyer?" I don't think he knows how law works.
Well, and again, disingenuous. Like I could understand a much younger Peter Parker not understand, but this is the guy that's literally been arrested and had an entire trial.
And also was working for Norman. And also was working for Norman Osborn, aka a terrorist.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, again, this is just such. It's so contrived, and it's my least favorite scene in the entire issue.
I feel like maybe if Peter had like kind of kept his trap shut and like, if they kind of dealt with Peter going like, maybe I hadn't thought about that before, instead of him like pitching a fit over it in the middle of a restaurant.
Him throwing a temper tantrum is not. It's in character for Wells writing Peter, but it's not in character for Peter. Yeah. And I felt like that was, yeah. And I also
Tevye, being a terrorist is like a murder with extra steps. So I feel like that's a bit of reductive.
What kind of terrorist are you? A terrifying terrorist. That's Norman.
I mean, he ran hammered. That's like 50 terrorist organizations wrapped into one.
The dude sold his.
He ran world police.
So, the whole bit with Peter and Norman, I don't.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I want to dig into that a little bit more because on one hand, I like that Peter is like giving Norman this genuine shot, and I feel like if Peter had not leaned too hard into like, you were a father figure to me, that's the real you. I feel like if he hadn't leaned hard into that and had gone more like, you've had some stumbles, like referencing the Gold Goblin miniseries where he, snapped Kafka's neck.
Right.
Or if we had seen him doing something a bit more morally objectionable at Oscorp, I feel like that would have, and Peter going like, you've had some stumbles, but you're genuinely giving it a try, and I'm very impressed, or something like that. Not as like Star Trekian, and like I'm proud of you.
I mean, it is in character for Peter to give villains a chance,
right? But Peter leaning this hard into that, like going like you were a father figure. You're like
no, he wasn't. I can tell you,
this is the man who like tried to brainwash him into being his heir.
Well, not even that. Just going back to like the original Stan Lee stuff.
Yeah,
he actively avoids Norman.
Yeah. Did you get to the point? Oh no, yeah, you did. You got to the drug issues.
Yeah,
right?
like
he does offer him a job there, right? But then he's like, he goes Goblin, and it's all that's over.
It's like Danny. You make it sound like Danny Phantom going Goblin.
That's what she said.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, but no, like
Goblin mode.
During the drug issues, which I do appreciate the fact that the scans on Marvel Unlimited do not include the comic code.
Oh, yeah,
it does not have the seal. So rereading those issues, which man, Gil Kane, hit or miss for me, by the way. When he's done by Ramita, it's much different. But when he's done, when he's got other people inking him, I'm not as big of a fan. But he actively is. First of all, he was actively avoiding before the whole build up to the drug issues. He finally accepts the job during the drug issues, and then Norman goes quackers because they go to a freaking theater, and Norman ends up. One of his hideouts was nearby the theater, and he's like, he goes into basically a trance. It's like, I have a key that fits this door. It's going to open. And then, then I started hearing the 90s shows, him yelling Parker.
I don't know why, but you remind me of that, like, behind the scenes blooper of Next Generation where Michael Dorn has like something in his story. It's like, got a yellowtail pizza. It's stuck in there.
Yellowtail pizza. Michael Dorn, his dulcet tones. I actually watched Ted 2 the other day. Speaking of Michael Dorn, I had never watched the second one, and him
Star Trek to Ted.
Well, he wears they end up going to New York Comic Con, and he ends up wearing a really shitty cosplay of himself as Worf. So I appreciated the meta joke.
But yeah, going back to Storm and Norman, I do feel like if they had leaned harder into Norman like struggling to be a good boy instead of like always being an uwu soft child that Peter has to constantly remind us that no, Norman, you're a good guy. It would have felt a bit more
taking away that exposition and taking away that character development to go having to go read the Norman the Gold Goblin miniseries last year, I think is something that I really get irritated with. Like the character development ends up happening off panel. Like we're seeing that type of stuff with Liz Allen.
It's not even that. It's that Norman in this book and Norman in like Gold Goblin and the Red Goblin book, which is actually really good, by the way, guys. Go check that out. The Red Goblin book by Pat Nadell. Norman is a completely different character in those books relative to this book. Because in this one, he's just like completely, I don't want to say neutered, but he feels a lot cleaner in this book, for lack of a better term. Like he seems a lot nicer, whereas in the Gold Goblin and Red Goblin books, I can genuinely believe like Peter having to watch over him because like he's a guy who has genuine regrets, but he still has that kind of cunning Norman Osborn attitude bubbling under the surface, and you can't ever tell when he's going to snap and revert back to being the Green Goblin. But here I feel like him being totally sad and dejected over people not believing in him, it just feels it feels totally unearned, and it feels very out of place for Norman Osborn as a character.
Yeah. By the way, Nick Lowe, I was a little. I am super happy for the couple in the letters pages that announced their engagement and whether or not she's.
Yeah, guys, don't be mad at them. Don't be mad at Nick Lowe for showcasing their happiness.
But don't. Here's the thing. This is something that I will continue to say. Like what you like, but don't be a dick. Okay. Like, can we stop doing this, Spider-Man Twitter? Like, this is a public service announcement. I'm going to timestamp this. 31 minutes in. Can we stop with being a dick to people, being a dick to Pat Gleason, being a dick to Nick Lowe on Twitter? I understand Twitter is naturally a cesspool. I understand that. But can we stop with the constant attacks? Because you're not going to garner any favors with anybody. You're just making like people like me who I really am ambivalent towards this run. Like there's things I like about it and there's things I'm like, It's not the worst thing ever. And I say that as a Ben Reilly fan. Look,
he's the most screwed out of all of us. He's been
I got screwed up the bunghole with the biggest purplest and greenest phallic piece of equipment that you could possibly get hit with, metaphorically speaking, as a Ben Reilly fan. It was purple and green, and it sucks.
Oh gosh.
So at the same time,
don't need to chill out
over that because I know that it's only temporary. It's not.
It'll be undone by the next writer.
Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Zeb Wells has already said he's going to tackle Ben Reilly. It'll probably be after the gang war. It will probably be like the big ending to his arc because his run, I mean, we can really kind of say it similarly to Dan Slott. His run started with Beyond. It did escalate quickly. For the people that jumped on right as I'm saying that, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize.
I never do. I know. Sorry. Thanks, Darwin. Don't apologize. I never do. All right. So, that being said, I really look. I appreciate them bringing Gleason in and him getting to flex his artistic muscles because it is a tour de force. This artwork is exceptional. I know a lot of people are upset that they're bringing up the Grim Hunt stuff or the Kraven's Last Hunt stuff, right? Dialogue boxes are meant to invoke it, right? This started all the way back during Grim Hunt, and I said, look, can we stop doing this? Like, there is an element of this to me where I'm like, can we stop like there are other Kraven stories besides KLH that you could get into. Right? I mean, I just got done reading that bonkers ass story of where Gwen and Peter end up with Jonah in the Savage Land, and they fight Gog and Kraven. Like Gog,
I was about to say Gog, our boy
Gog, the Church of Gog. Praise be his name.
Namaste. Wait, no shit. That's you.
What?
I don't know.
Anyway, moving on. No, they were. Matt Bird says, very interesting question here for you all regarding this run. Do you believe that they will be so involved in their stories that Marvel will overlook Amazing Spider-Man 1000?
No, there's going to be like 100 different variant covers for that.
100 different variants for a $20 comic.
Yeah.
It's going to be a thick boy. It's going to be a thick one.
Yeah.
I also advocate for them bringing back the corner boxes with the Ramita Junior or Senior art. Like bring those back. Those are great. I mean, right now, okay, we are literally. It is way too soon to be talking about 1000. We're not
even at 950 yet. We're about to be the 950.
Now, there is a rumor that is unsubstantiated that came from. I believe it was it San Diego or was it? It was Emerald City. One of these Comic Cons that Zeb Wells was at.
Was it the Toronto one that Josh was at?
Toronto one, the one you were at.
Fan Expo, right?
Where is it? The Fan Expo in Toronto. That you met Slot at. That's right.
Yeah.
So there was this. I don't know if it was you that told me this, Josh, that he's like kind of got things mapped out to issue 60.
I didn't say
that wasn't Josh, but I think it was.
Some guy said, "Oh, I know someone there," and he talked to Wells, and Wells said that his last issue is going to be 60, or at least he has plans for 60.
Mm-hmm. So we're literally at the halfway point of this run. Which means, again, we got 2 years worth of story. Which, again, with the way that this works and how the double shipping works, you've got to have at least a plot for the next 9 or 10 issues. They've probably got all the plots done for Gang War. They probably got every bit of the chess pieces in place for Gang War. After that, they're probably working on that right now. So, again,
real quick on this caveat. No, they're not going to, unless there is a major editorial shakeup. The marriage will not come back with ASM 1000. Calling it.
I could see them getting back together, but not married.
Yeah. I think there's too many moving parts. We're like 3 or 4 years out from ASM 1000. That's way too far in the future to tell whether or not.
And if they weren't going to let Nick Spencer do it, they're not going to let anybody else do it.
Honestly, to be frank, we were kind of lucky we got as far as we did with Spencer's run.
I mean, Spencer attempted to try to reconcile it without them getting remarried, and I think that there was a lot of people that were thinking that they're going to bring back the marriage. I was never one of those people. I know Paul was. He talked about it on
the where's the ring?
But no, guys, I see them getting back together before ASM 1000, but I don't see them getting married. Sorry, just. That's reality, and for the exact reasons that Neil just mentioned. I mean, until there's a
massive editorial shakeup and infusion of new talent, for those are the two big things. But also just depending on if there is a comics market in 3 to 4 years by the time ASM 1000 rolls around.
Oh, I think there still will be.
Will be. It'll be on life support though,
but comics have been on life support since. Even in the 70s, when they threw a 19-year-old kid as the writer of Amazing Spider-Man and Jerry Conway, they thought, "Oh, this shit's not going to last another 5 years." Look where we are now. Okay, like I understand what you're saying in terms of
it's not going to be the same industry
I just read a very interesting article on Popverse where it's very very, very interesting about the page rates and how people get paid for the books that they write and how it has not changed since the late 80s.
Yeah, I've heard the page rates now are worse than they were in the 80s.
Yeah, especially just for inflation.
And so, yeah, I mean 16 cents of your dollar, at least in the US, can't talk about up there in Canada, but I can talk about the US. Your dollar costs 16 cents, has 16 cents less purchasing power just in the last 2 years because of inflation. that's reality. And so a page rate of $300 a page, that's not going to get you very far without you having to do other work.
Well, Matt, if you want us to prove a hostile takeover, you got to give us the means to do so.
Yeah, that means support us over on patreon.com/Spideydude.
That wasn't what I meant!
Knew that was coming.
Chill!
Hey, there might be a t-shirt store coming soon.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, buy a t-shirt.
Yeah, okay.
Similar to the one that we got our buddy wearing right now. See, look at that beautiful t-shirt. Look at that. Pull him up right there. Solo layup. Boom. Look at that beautiful.
It's like, Neil, I told you, I told the chat my ideas for different colorways for the logo. That's merchandise right there, baby.
Yeah, we've got the synthwave one, but we need more. So
I'll send it again. I'll send it again tomorrow.
Let me get the Shopify thing established. I think I get a free trial, so let's see how that goes. All right. I forgot that I changed my name. I am the head of the.
So Tevye asks, "Do people care about Michelle?" No. So I'll be the weird guy here. I can see it working. If they wanted to put the actual effort in to the character that they are able to, there could be something there, like having to deal with some, like in the same vein as Black Cat, but on a civilian level, where.
Listen, there's no such thing as a bad character. I still maintain that. I mean, you look at Betty Brant and the amount of crazy shit that she's done. She's not a bad character. There's just been some really bad writing. So you can make chicken salad out of chicken crap all you want. That's a phrase from, I made that comment on Make My Mayday, where they made chicken salad out of chicken crap with the death of Peter. You just got to get the right writer, and you got to you got to build upon the craft. If you're approaching comics as a craft, and you're approaching these characters as real beings, then you've got to, somebody like Neil said, you got to have somebody come in and flesh her out. Give us some depth to her. And I think that I think that they're trying to do that. She's going to play a role in Gang War. It's painfully obvious. What I feel like wasting 4 or 5 pages on Michelle would be counterintuitive. And I'll give Zeb Wells this. He's very purposeful with his page with his pacing on pages. Yes. And look, I feel like that at times this is decompressed. I mean, we kind of talked about it with the second issue. It's very much a fight scene where it just kind of felt like that Wells gave the plot and said, "Hey, Pat, go crazy."
Go.
Now,
do some
I will say this:
homages.
the cover for next issue is effing gorgeous.
Which one? The Ramita one or the Gleason cover?
The Ramita one.
The cracked Spidey
with
goblin
the Spidey goblin face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's good. It's some good stuff. Put that in my veins. How much time? 12:16 left in the game. All right. So, man, I mean, there's really not a lot to say about these issues. That's the problem. There's just not a ton.
The problem is we don't have Paul here to provide
Paul is busy watching the game with his brother, and that's okay. It's football season. That's how that's going to go.
I'm not saying that to dunk on Paul. I'm just saying that Paul's usually here to provide some contrast on our opinions, and he's not here.
He talks a lot. So Josh, kind of give me your thoughts. We'll go through. Give me your thoughts.
I kind of noticed the Peter and Norman relationship reminded me a lot of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh God.
Just like that Peter part. Well, it's true because he's always.
I muted him. Go ahead, Josh.
He's really much constantly in defense of Norman Osborn. Like that relationship is I've always seen you as a father figure, all that stuff. That's not really in the comic. That's more from being pulled from other media and that. So it was a little weird just to see how strong that he thinks of Norman as this father figure for him, or it's not really ever happened.
I've always felt like that thing to me, if you read it more as wishful thinking, I think it makes a little more sense.
I don't know how you can interpret it that way though. Like the problem is that like throughout the entire run, Peter's been acting like this.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I get where you're coming from, and I'm not sure it's entirely wrong, but I feel like it's an interpretation that requires a lot of stretching to get to that conclusion.
Yeah, continue on, Josh. What else you got?
That and just like this is clearly like we're calling back to Kraven's Last Hunt again, because that's the only Kraven story anyone ever talks about. And it was like reading it just felt like I was like mentally going through a checklist, going like, okay, they're probably gonna add vermin. Oh, there's vermin. Yeah, okay, we're going through there.
I did appreciate.
Where's the shovel?
I did appreciate that they brought back the thousands of vermin from the Spencer run. Like at least we're getting some consistency. I feel like I'd have been probably much madder if that had been like just one vermin. I'd be like, hey,
that's
the rest
true.
of the fucking vermin. You know, so at least I got to give editorial some thumbs up. And I do like the fact that they mentioned it's not me, it's my father. You know, the fact that this is not the same Kraven.
Yeah, and Peter's like, close enough.
A lot of Peter's lines went kind of hard in this issue.
Yeah, that's true.
Peter is like, gives zero fucks. Like that's
where Peter just tosses a gun and says, "You should kill yourself now."
That is cold.
That line actually went really hard, and I'll give Wells this, that like he writes a really good edgy Peter.
Yeah.
Oh, this was a great, like, this would be like, I wouldn't mind seeing Zeb Wells write a what if type thing based, like, spinning off of this,
like Spider's Shadow, or
like
what if Peter went edgy?
What if Peter never gave the sins back to Norman? I just don't know how I feel about sins being a transmissible disease.
Yeah,
like,
Not to mention how they got that to be a transmissible disease.
Sinfully transmitted disease.
It's an STD. We've now established it as a different type of STD. Oh boy!
I think Peter should be Twitch streaming. I think Peter should be a Twitch streamer, like low tier god. You should kill yourself now.
Any other thoughts there, Josh?
No, that's pretty much it. Like, there were not much happens progression wise for the story, and the
we are definitely in the in between parts of it's really hard for us to judge this, I feel like, as a story, because we are just smack ass dab in the middle of it.
Exactly.
And I will say that I do kind of appreciate on a character level Peter doing exactly to Kraven what Kraven did to him back in Last Hunt.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those eye for an eye things, and I know that people are complaining about it ruining or like insulting Last Hunt.
Norman would do.
It's a bizarro Last
true.
Hunt, basically.
Yeah, but like the idea is that Peter's kind of a petty little.
No, yeah, he's like, payback time. Let's do this.
But also, again,
time to bust out the black suit, baby.
That's kind of my thing with it, though. That is, like, Norman would be this petty. The Green Goblin would be this petty.
He gave Otto's girlfriend AIDS just to fuck with him.
God damn.
Like, you know, this is the type of story where, like, we got to also understand this is not Peter acting as Peter Parker. This is Peter Parker being warped and twisted. What if Peter Parker was raised by Norman Osborn? And that's what this story is.
Also, real quick, Tevye, they do point that out, that he's not the real Kraven. Peter goes, I don't care, time to be petty. Get in the hole.
He literally says, that was my father. Close enough.
Yeah.
Throws him into the grave. Like,
the thing is, though, yes, it's not the real one, it's a clone, but for like story purposes,
that was the out Spencer gave Marvel editorial.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, and I hesitate to be like, oh, this isn't the real Kraven, because I feel like if we do that enough, they're gonna bring back the real one.
Yeah, to me, look, this was
again.
We're sorry for the BS that was Grim Hunt and the, you know, at least trying to put the genie back in the bottle. Aside
from being just an apology for Grim Hunt, hunted was essentially Spencer saying, "Okay, editorial, I'm going to put the real Kraven back in the box, back in the ground, but here's this." Who's essentially the same Kraven that you can play with if you want to use Kraven.
A Kraven that I might add is at his physical peak.
Yeah.
Which makes it an interesting dynamic that you could play with. Like, the Kraven that we meet is not necessarily at his physical peak. He's in his 40s. You know, this is a Kraven the Hunter that's like 25, that is contemporary age-wise of Peter Parker, and has all the knowledge of the older Kraven, right? So, like,
but I do like though that Peter, when he's not holding back, he just tears into Kraven. Like, he even goes, "I can't believe I was ever scared of you," because up until Last Hunt, Kraven was kind of not necessarily a joke villain, but he was kind of a, I want to say, C-lister, where he
was definitely B-list. I mean, I think there was a respect there, and granted, I'll get into that more as I get in my reading, but like, at least in the early appearances, like, there was a healthy respect there, because Kraven's confidence was like off the freaking charts.
I'm talking more about like how that he's perceived. Like, look at Shocker, how he's typically like up until Superior Foes, he was taken relatively seriously, like an unscheduled stop. He was seen as a relatively powerful villain, but ever since then, he's kind of been degraded into being like the punching bag for every new issue.
I blame that. That's the Bendisization and the ultimatization.
And that's Ultimate Spider-Man.
I mean, because like Bendis really used to give Shocker shit in the Ultimate comic.
Now Spencer did the same, but he ultimately had Shocker come out on top, which is why Superior Foes was so satisfying.
Yeah. It's Herman's still. Everybody still acted. I mean, probably the biggest changes were to Fred.
Boomerang was kind of the character who went through the most change.
Yeah, like there was a lot of growth that went through with Fred, but you get to the but you get to the end with it, and you're like, oh, okay.
Well, so, the joke was that he didn't learn anything from it. That's why he was recounting to Spider-Man. Oh, I did all these crimes.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but you bring up a great point. This is Peter Parker, where Peter Parker's always been holding back, and like the best writers always make it a point to bring that up. Like, if he ever just went fucking off.
I was about to add to that like we've done this story beat before with like Superior, where Spock just clean punches Scorpion's jaw off.
Yeah.
And Otto's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he's been holding back all this time." But I think it's different coming from like Peter just saying it. I can't believe I was ever scared of you.
Mm-hmm.
A completely unchecked ego just going like, "I don't know why like you ever pose a threat to me." It hits different coming from the person who's been holding back.
Agreed. Adam, your further thoughts?
Well, let's see. Well, the art is very nice. I think we all agree about that. I particularly liked the homages to the ASM 294 and ASM 300 cover that Gleason did in issue 33. Thought that was cool. Fits the black suit thing and the whole Kraven's Last Hunt thing. Right. There was, I mean, writing wise, it's okay. It's fine, I guess. You know, like Zach, I feel like they got to move on from not just like, oh, a Kraven story that references Last Hunt, but I mean, I guess it does reference just the fact the black suit. Like, he's always in the black suit now when he fights Kraven, and it's like I think we have to do something else there.
Also, Tevya asked earlier, when did Peter get the cloth black suit again? He always had it. I don't think they've ever shown him like destroying it.
Yeah, he said in the beginning of 33, he just says that he keeps it. He's like, I don't know why I keep it, or something. What does he say? That was the opening was kind of, I don't know if I liked how the opening was written. It's kind of like the scene with Michelle in 32. I thought it was okay. The scene with Michelle in 32, I thought was okay until Peter was like,
throwing his hissy fit about
he said, well, let me find the quote again because I didn't like this.
I feel like the Peter sitting in his Patrick Bateman chair is like one of those scenes that's like overly edgy and like Bully Maguire.
Yeah.
To the point where like in 15 years we'll be making TikTok fan cams about Peter in his Sigma chair.
Some of it just seemed like it was laid on a little thick, and it just was like, this is kind of like
my head. The blaze in my head only grows.
In 32, during the Michelle scene, she's like, "Oh, like I'm his lawyer. I'm Tombstone's lawyer." He's like, "I thought that meant you loved laws, that you were a law lover," and it's like, no one talks like that.
Yeah, this is
stupid
a criticism that I have also of a certain writer about that we are talking about in our other show or on the channel. Where there's a level of a lack of being able to write dialogue for some reason.
But the thing is, I think I like Wells's dialogue for the most part a bit more than the other writer who we're talking about on another show, which I think
generally I do think that Wells's dialogue is better than.
Yeah,
I think Slott is eternally trapped in the Silver Age. For better or worse, if he's doing like an untold tale, it works a lot better. But for like modern tellings and new stories, it doesn't work as well. I think Wells is a bit more able to adapt.
The problem is with Slott is you can adapt writing Silver Age, like look at the guys that wrote in this, like that evolved over time. But when you're cosplaying as a Silver Age writer, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Continue.
I do think it's interesting having Peter be evil, but because it's not done. I feel like it's not really done to, I don't know. I feel like it's not really done to this extent where it's like a full arc.
It does feel a bit more like it's meant to facilitate Peter's character moments rather than like a genuine desire to see like what if Peter went evil.
Right.
That's my major con with edgy Peter. I think it's just funny watching him be edgy, but on a more serious level, it does feel more like a plot moving the characters thing rather than.
Yeah, it's better. I think it's better throughout the issue when he's hunting Kraven than like it was when he's like, "I'm gonna put the black suit on because I still have it."
Time to be unfriendly.
Yeah, exactly.
These thoughts were always there.
The neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm the unfriendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
New spin-off coming out in like 3 months. New satellite
The
title.
not so friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. On sale this August.
I'm kind of tired of the good guy Norman thing. I think it would like everyone's saying, I think it would be more interesting if he's having more difficulty like slipping back, and it really then there's a question of like,
is Peter holding onto it essentially a time bomb?
Yeah, was there maybe a good guy there this whole time, even though like a lot of the backstory says no, and but I think it would be interesting to play with that. But the whole like, I don't know, the father, everyone is clowning on the father figure line. I think that is like a bit much because I can't really think of any instance where that's the case. The whole time in the history,
Mackie Byrne.
Yeah, when he literally like drugged him and tried to gaslit him. And
no, that wasn't Mackie Byrne. That was Mackie Jenkins, which was
I mean, it's the same era though. Like the Byrne stuff was like right before. It's the same 3-year stretch or whatever.
It is the same era, but I tend to try to separate those two because like it was very clear once Mackie was no longer writing both books, he was. Like there was an improvement.
Yeah. And I do think that 33 is a very brisk read. But I think the Bizarro Kraven's Last Hunt thing where it's it's Kraven's time. I think that's
it's Kraven time. It's Kraven time, and he craved all over him.
Oh, and I do. The one thing I'll say about 32 is I actually thought Wells did a pretty good job with rising action in that issue, because there's the point where when Kraven infiltrates Oscorp, it just builds and builds and builds and builds, and it reminds me of like I wouldn't say it's like I'm on the edge of my seat, like that one Beyond issue he did, but it kind of reminds me of that when like there was that one like mid-season finale issue of Beyond where it just like it built to this like really
where Ben gets his mind wiped by Beyond Corp.
It builds to this, you know, the climax of the issue and then leading into the next thing. I just think the fact that it keeps moving, it keeps building, and it's just, you know, action and what's Kraven gonna do and what's Norman gonna do and what's Peter gonna do. I don't know. It's all. I think that worked really well. I want to give Wells credit there because I think he did a good job. With that, the lead up to this, I thought.
Oh, that image goes hard. I thought
awesome. The build up was really
like to me.
That's like phone screensaver material.
Yeah. I'll be honest. That image made me go, huh. I'm kind of interested to see what happens next issue.
Yeah. So I want to ask. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
And that's not something that I've said very often about this run, where I'm like, huh. I'm kind of interested to see what happens next issue. That got to give it its flowers there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I got kind of a question as far as character viability. I've talked about Queen Goblin having a good design and everything. Do you think? Yes. Shut up, Zach. Do you think that she has viability outside of after after Wells' run ends? Do you see her coming back or being a viable rogue?
As staying Gabi Mami or becoming Ashley Kafka again?
Either or. Maybe a Jekyll Hyde situation. I don't know. Something that involves her. That involves Queen Goblin staying.
I do want her to go back a little bit closer to factory settings, but I think it's a very interesting level of storytelling, personally, that you could really mine from.
I feel like a former therapist having a suicide stare is kind of an intrinsically interesting idea, like someone who used to help people, going, hey, kill yourself,
and or even the dichotomy of she's trying to keep that side of herself repressed while simultaneously trying to help the people at Ravencroft not succumb to their own, duality as well. I think that you could. Now, I don't know, nor do I trust very many writers to be able to do that effectively. But if you gave it to, I'll be honest, and I hate to say it this way, but if you gave it to a JMD, I think he could knock it out of the park.
Adam, Josh, what do you think?
I think it'll hinge on the ending of this arc, maybe, I imagine. But I don't know. I mean, I think there could be some. I mean, there's interesting stuff you can do with it, but I don't know. It feels like if she is that tied to
the Norman Sin stuff, if she comes back.
If she's that tied to that, I don't, and I'm assuming that Norman's going to get the Sins back at some point. So I don't know if that's going to be at the end of this arc or if that's going to be near the end of Wells's run or whatever. But
I do wonder what happens with the Sins after this.
I mean, you would think that they either. Well, I guess we have two options. They either go back to Norman at the end of this arc, or they go back to Kafka, and then there's going to be another thing.
If they go back to Kafka, that means that they're just delaying the inevitable, right?
I could kind of see them using it with Ben, bringing Ben back into a whole storyline there with the therapist, Ben being the one that was.
There is so much unmined potential between Norman and Ben that you could do. Oh my God. You could do so much.
Now he's just a lawyer from a small town.
Let me tell you. Let me understand. Let me make you understand here.
The power of Kafka and Osborn and Riley.
And Ben Riley coming together with that there Norman Osborn. I tell you right now, that's some fried chicken level good type of eating there.
I could see that being a pretty good story between Peter trying to be in the middle between Kafka and Ben against,
especially an evil Ben Riley that gives 0 Fs.
Yeah,
isn't really all there.
Who would want revenge against Norman? That was the thing that I was that was so missed during Dark Web. when they had that scene, I was like, that's a great scene. Like, I can't hate this because like that's like,
and they did nothing with it.
That's like a piece. That's like a big juicy rib. And you just like, it's like thick hunk of meat and you just grab it and you chew it and you rip it off with your teeth.
I think Zach wants barbecue, guys.
You chew it and you spit it out.
It's some good eating, man. Like you can gnaw on that thing for a little bit. Like, ugh. But no.
I wonder because, when Craven and Kafka did the nasty on the floor and got the sins out, she didn't go back to being Kafka, and I'm wondering if that's gonna stick. Like even if the sins go back to Norman and he's back to being the Green Goblin again, if Kafka will remain Queen Goblin just by virtue of whatever Beyond Corp did to her.
The question becomes: is it a chicken or the egg scenario? Did the sins cause her to be
Jesus
Gabi
Christ,
Mommy?
this again.
Well, did the sins cause her to be Gabi Mommy, or did they turn her into Gabi Mommy and then added the sins and brought that in on top of it, and that's the excuse? That's the question.
That's fair.
So, Neil, you've kind of been peppering in your thoughts, but you have any other overall thoughts?
I thought it was a really good first 2 acts and a 4-act structure. I do think that it was a little light on the plot in regards to 33. Mm-hmm. It mainly facilitated a fight scene and some stuff. I'm kind of trying to figure out how Wells is going to get Peter back to factory settings by the end of the arc, though, because I feel like Peter being edgy and evil should be kind of more of a long-term storyline.
Well, the question is going to be, I think, the residual effects. How is this going to carry over into Gang War, and how is this going to affect his decision making in Gang War? That's something that's a character bit that you can mine yourself into. And
I'm mainly asking that because we know Peter is in his regular costume by the time Gang War First Strike rolls around. We've got interior art by Joey Vasquez confirming this.
Right.
I'm just wondering if he's going to be back to normal, because he could just put on the black suit just to mess with Craven, but at the same time he could also be back to normal. So I think it is going to I think how this arc ends is going to kind of determine the future going forward for the character, at least in the short term. I'm not looking forward to that 4-month story arc, though.
There's going to be a lot to cover. What do we do? So let us know in the comments, because I think we're going to do the side stuff on Patreon. If that's something you guys want, let us know, because there's going to be a lot of tie-ins. Cool.
And we will be doing it. I think we're either going to record it or we're going to live stream it only to patrons. But it will. We will be talking about the Gang War stuff in some capacity. I don't know whether or not we're going to be doing it in the at all, whether or not we're going to be doing it live or just recorded. But it is going to be a Patreon exclusive probably, unless we get enough demand to do it on the main show.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want us to do it on the main show, then we'll
figure something out.
We'll figure it. We'll add an extra show for those 3 months or whatever. But because right now, the way we got it structured, we'll do the end of this arc on the next review episode. But then between then, we'll have another episode of hopefully Slot Symposium. So let us know in the comments down below. So Radiax got some comments. It says, although not the current run with the plot point of Norman Sins, it's got to be the lamest thing to continue from the Spencer run. In his opinion, it's such a goofy thing that's not properly explained. He talks about Gleason's art being phenomenal, though. It does capture the rare moment that Spider-Man is truly menacing. I just wish I just wish that the writing was not trying to amp up a better writer and doing a retread of Last Hunt. Tevia says, can we get rid of everything from Spider-Man Beyond? I actually like Hallows Eve. I mean, that's been something that I've commented on several times. I think Hallows Eve was actually something that was decent that came from Beyond.
I think my camera is...
Your autofocus is wonking. One thing he did like, though, was, this is Radiac again, is that as being more positive on this run is really trying to do something with Norman and him being responsible for Peter.
I do want to point out.
That's why I would think that, like, almost logically, maybe it's too. I mean, you would think that Norman would sacrifice himself at the end to get his sins back. Perhaps.
I think that, like, if I had done this story arc, what I would have done is I would have had Peter either infected with the sins a lot more early, or I would have had Norman be more directly involved and not, like, as a side player. I know he's probably going to be in here more, but I think the novelty of Norman Oz. Oh, Isaac. But the novelty of Norman Osborn having to be the good guy and having to get Peter back to normal is at least a genuinely interesting idea. Sure. And I kind of wish Wells would lean into that a bit more, if that makes sense.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. No, it's nice. There was one part in here I really liked where it's the panel where Peter is saying, I can't believe I was ever scared of you. And like our commerce pointed out here, it really shows that menacing side of Peter where, like, even if, if Spider-Man's not joking, not talking, it means stuff's going down. Like, he's getting serious. And yeah, that's scary. It works really well.
What arc was it? Origin of the Species, where Peter's hunting down all the villains involved in Stanley Osborn's theft or kidnapping?
Theft.
I stole the baby.
I believe. Yeah, I think that's that. Yeah.
Like that, like the one where, like, he, like, breaks Shocker's arms in the water so he can't swim. Like, stuff like that. I love stuff like that, especially when it's rare, because that's when Peter kind of just breaks loose.
Yeah.
Especially when he's silent. I love silent, edgy Peter. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it shows his true power that he is withholding every time he goes into a fight.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back, Zach.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. I was dealing with Waylon.
We were just talking about we were kind of comparing this to Origin of the Species for a bit. Talking where the bit where Peter's, like, running around beating up all of his villains and, like, scaring them into turning themselves in so they don't get, like, the crap kicked out of them by him.
God, that was such a badly drawn story too.
Okay, I kind of liked it.
I was not a fan. Like, I like his work. I like that artist.
The art wasn't good, but I like the idea of, like, all these villains being so scared of Peter brutalizing them that they turn themselves in to avoid.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. Yeah, that was such an awkward ending to that era of Spider-Man.
Yeah, the brand new day was. That was a weird end.
That was a very on that. Yeah, like that, because, like, that's the last arc before Big Time, I think, right? And that's such a weird. It was such.
I'm not sure how much you heard of it before you left. We were talking about about the novelty of, like, Norman Osborn being the hero and having to stop Peter.
It is unique. I am interested to see how it's handled in this arc. I don't disagree with that. I think that there's some stuff you can mine from that.
What are you guys' expectations for the arc going forward?
Yeah, that's a good way to start wrapping up the episode. We'll take some more comments down below.
And by the way, we won't be humoring this arc bad. Well should leave ASM. We want, like, substantial discussions.
Yeah, we want some substance. Let's not let's not go caveman on us. We haven't done grades. Josh, your grade.
For both or just all together?
Yeah, let's blanket them. Yeah,
let's blanket them.
Altogether, B-.
Okay.
All right, B-. So that is Josh's grade, B-. Adam, your grade.
Let's go B. I don't know. It's all right.
Is a B.
The art, that art.
The art kind of saved it. Neil, your grade?
I'm going to cheat a little bit. I gave 32 an A- and 33 a B-. So I'd average it out somewhere about a B.
It's funny because, like, I'm going through the old grades and, like, they're almost identical.
Hell yeah, let's go. Asset recycling.
Like, they're either like B-, B+, and I'm having to eliminate the B's or whatever. But, like, because like mine, I give this a B+. Like that's my grade. You know, I think this is a good story. I think it'll definitely be influenced by the next 2 issues.
Yeah, you can't judge an arc without half the arc being there.
Yeah, it's like I've read the first half of the book.
Now what?
You know.
Now we wait a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Okay, Radio X, I agree with there being more meat in the commentary. When I say more meat in the commentary, I mean like we want to in the comment section we want to see some like substance on like where you expect this arc to go, not just Wells bad.
Yeah.
because we appreciate like we like to be genuine in our criticism, and saying Wells bad is one in bad faith just because.
First of all, it goes into like I don't want to be a shill for the current stuff. There's things I don't like, but this is not as like we've had far worse stuff.
Relentless toxicity isn't conducive to improving the title.
No, and like there do I think that there is like this stuff this is the stuff I have enjoyed with Wells. It's the, you know, now that we've gotten like I understand that the stench of the what did Peter do, everything related to that, that was not good. Like that resolution was not good. But the stuff here is actually somewhat character driven based off of the state of where the toys were when Wells picked them up. So some like this stuff specifically is picked up directly from the Spencer run. So that's part of the reason I think I enjoy it a little bit more, is because it actually means that we're doing something and moving forward with it.
And I will say, having read how many issues are we in? 6 past what did Peter do? Or something around that number?
Yeah, that ended.
Yeah.
Oh. What was it? What the Ms. Marvel died?
26.
Yeah, 26. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Being honest, if Wells had skipped that first year of stories up until the what did Peter do was resolved, and we started with the Dr. Octopus story, I'll be honest, I think that Wells would have a better reputation going forward. That mystery box really torpedoed any chance he had of running something good.
That they created an unnecessary, contrived story that we just came off of a big giant ass mystery of who was Kindred, and that left a lot of people cold.
Another meta arc did no favors to Wells.
And that just did not work. And I don't know who else pitched, or if it was just Wells doing the pitch and he got the job by default. I don't know, but
I do think that like if Wells had started with the Dr. Octopus arc, ignoring like the Kamala stuff, because you kind of need Kamala's death there to facilitate Peter's, I guess, arc in that story. I think Wells would go down as more of a stock Spider-Man writer, just there to fill in the gap while a new meta arc writer is being picked.
Yeah. Holy shit.
He's watching football while we're talking about Spider-Man.
No, I just saw the score and I just
fake fan.
Shut up. I just saw the score, and for those keeping score at home, the Lions are going to win by a point. And
that will always be.
I really hope you upload the audio version like tomorrow, otherwise it's going to be so dated in terms of the commentary.
Right.
Everyone will know that the Lions were up 1 point.
And that's all they'll know.
Listen, I think this is the first time in opening night, it's defending Super Bowl champion has lost their opening night game. So, yeah.
My expectations for this current arc aren't really high, mostly because the only thing I think that will happen will Peter Parker not regret any of his actions, and Norman Osborn going back to Green Goblin, and that's it. Everything else, not so much. I'm trying to think if I'm interpreting that correctly, that Peter Parker won't regret going edgy.
His guilt will. Again, this all depends.
How could I have told a man to kill himself?
Well,
no, I'm becoming a Twitch streamer.
Here's my thing. As I lean back on this, it all depends on how is this going to set up Gang War. How is this going to lead with Peter's character into his actions in Gang War, and how is it going to affect his actions with this Gang War? Like, we got to see something different. The basic concept of a gang war, because I'm literally reading like the first, you got Hammerhead and you got Doc Ock, and they're participating in their gang war with the Conway run, right? How is this going to be any different than the previous stuff?
Yeah.
Well, and what's also interesting to notice,
according to the cover coming out, Peter busts out the bat. So.
Oh yeah, it's on the catalog for the. It's on the cover for the.
Oh yeah.
The catalog. I'm trying to figure out. Like, I know She-Hulk is under Lowe's direction because he's the editor for that book. I'm trying to figure out how he's going to justify dragging her into it.
Well, I think that she's got a miniseries. As my understanding.
No, she's got an ongoing now. It's Sensational.
Well, no, I think they're going to do a She-Hulk miniseries, as well as like Luke Cage is the mayor, I think, of New York.
She's also a lawyer.
Maybe she could be.
There's going to be shenanigans with Michelle,
she can beat the shit out of Michelle in her office.
Oh my god!
It's going to be like Law and Order, but like Michelle is, instead of being the ADA, she's the defense counsel and freaking.
Okay, so okay. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at the 4 months worth of content that is coming up for Gang War. Jesus
But wait,
Christ.
there's more.
There's no She-Hulk. Would you believe me when I told you there's no She-Hulk solicit for this?
Oh my
God. There's none.
There's none. So there's ASM, there's Miles Morales, Spider-Woman, Daredevil, which is Elektra as Daredevil,
right?
For reference, and Deadly Hands of Kung Fu.
Yeah, because we're going to bring in Shang-Chi just because reasons.
He's not even there. He's not even on the cover. Oh, wait, there he is. And his Shang. They're asking if he's friend or foe, which I don't. Who read the last Shang-Chi book?
I didn't. No offense.
I know it was Gene Wen Yang was writing it. I just didn't. I read the first volume. I forgot to re-up when they relaunched it, so that's on me. But so. Hang on. Okay, so let's read the solicit here. Wars erupted between the gang lords of New York City, causing chaos throughout the Big Apple.
Yeah, we can read these. We can read these solicitations because Paul's not here, and he's not going to go. No, I don't read solicitations.
It's like, well, with that, we should start thinking about wrapping it up.
Normally,
and then he just runs away.
Like he flees in terror because he doesn't want to read the solicitation.
So for whatever reason,
by the writer.
No, but I do.
Real quick,
I do think it is wrap up time.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, Shotgun is listed as one of the major threats to this in this arc.
Why? Because John Romita's drawing this shit, and that's the only reason. And he's the co-creator of Shotgun because he liked it from.
And then Eamon and Hydra for some reason are in this gang war.
Eamon and Hydra.
Listen, I mean,
so the others are.
Isn't that because of Spider-Woman?
Jessica's existence, trying to find her baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is Jessica's entire existence is either Hydra shenanigans or her baby? Why not both?
I think that's what's going to end up happening. Is that Hydra has her baby?
Let's see. So, are the Thunderbolts not involved? Because last I remember, they were.
Luke Cage has a mini, doesn't he? Or he has a tie-in to this, I believe.
He does. It's a 4-issue miniseries. But like I'm surprised because the in-universe, the out-of-universe reasons because there's a Thunderbolts book with Bucky and the MCU cast. The in-universe reason, I guess, is just they forgore. Aren't you guys ready for Rec Rap?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's in that too. Yay!
Rec Rap returns.
I think. He's in the lead-in issues because the arc immediately after this one has Peter and Rec Rap in a gang war first strike.
Yeah. Again, stuff that we're bringing back from the 90s. I'm old enough to remember Onslaught, Impact 1, Onslaught, Impact 2. First strike, and now the second strike.
Can anyone do the Jeff Steitzer voice from Halo? Onslaught, Impact 1. Onslaught, Impact 2.
Impact 1. I don't know why.
I love how like the last minute of this podcast has been us like doing like
bullshitting right now.
Game announcer voices.
But wait, there's more.
Tevye, why do you hate Rick Rapp? He's a good boy. He's done nothing wrong.
Rick Rapp is
a
national treasure.
He's perfect.
He didn't hurt nobody.
Didn't hurt nobody.
He just wants to web. He just wants to
Tevye, you're just negative, Tevye. You need Jesus. You need some positivity in your life.
You need some Rick Rapp in your life.
Oh, boy.
Exactly.
So real quick, you're asking where Kane is. The answer to that question is far away from here, which is a good thing.
Apparently, Kane is returning at some point during Wells' run.
I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care, but I do.
I want him to be as far away from this book as possible, man.
Listen, genuinely, I am scared. Okay, anytime there's a clone being brought around with Zeb Wells, it either means he's going to die, or he's going to turn into a villain.
So or his entire plotline is going to be degenerating.
Or like now apparently the deadly neighborhood Spider-Man, we're going to bring back Spider-Side. Why? Because you demanded it.
Honestly, I just want Kane to find Hummingbird and just run away to like Mexico or something. Just leave him alone.
Vigman, well done. Well done.
Haha.
Kane is watching this live stream.
I hope so.
If Kane could talk sense to Ben, Kane would just tell Ben to like beat the shit out of some people.
Kane would backhand his bitch ass across the room. Like,
you can't be edgy. That's my thing.
Yeah. He'd be like, dude, you think you can go hard? I can go harder. Freaking grabs his
shank. Just stabs
him with his spikes. I mean, come on.
Bitch.
Like, quit being emo. Slap the shit out of Ben Reilly. Like, that's not I mean, he back, like, now, here's the thing. I want Kane to come back Rob Zombie Kane style, like MC2 Kane, like with the big old long beard and the big ass hair. And then just being like, bam! Just backhands his bitch ass to next week. That'd be great.
He bitch slaps the Baja Blast out of Ben Reilly.
He smacks him in the purple and green, just goes flying.
It just goes flying. And Ben is naked. He's like, where's my clothes?
Oh, I forgot. I honestly kind of replaced psychoreactive goo in my brain with Baja Blast. That's where I'm at.
He has Baja Blast powers.
Baja Blast powers activate. All right. So without final thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, final thoughts. Let's wrap.
It was good.
Adam, your final thoughts.
Wash your hands.
John.
Be careful out there, guys.
Smile?
I mean, that's good advice.
Neil, don't forget to spay or neuter your pets.
Why are you asking me?
I don't know. I was just trying to come up with something profound to say.
He's looking for an out. Let's just run the outro.
Okay, I actually got a new outro. Hang on. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for watching. All right. I want to thank our patrons before we get out of here. As always, we got to thank those guys and gals that contribute each and every month to what we do here on the channel. We got our sensational tier patrons. We got Adam, Allison, Cindy, Ed, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Kigar, Laura Howard, Master Drammond, Phoenician, Scott McClure, Vanessa, and Vicky. Thank you guys for your support here on the channel. And of course, we have our VIPs, Scott, Sebastian, Vinkman, and Winnipeg Webhead. Thank you guys for your support. If you're looking up on the screen, we also have our friendly neighborhood tier. Those are our $1 patrons. They get audio shout-outs at each and every episode, so thank you to them. And, of course, if you want to be on the program, you can always check us out over at Spideydude Radio Network on YouTube. If you've not already liked, shared, and subscribed, please do so. If you want to be part of our community, you can always join our Discord, as well as our Facebook page at Spideydude Network. Our Twitter is at Spideydude Radio. Same thing with Instagram and Threads at Spideydude Network. If you want to have your voice be heard on the show, you can always leave us a voicemail at 818-925-6631 or leave us an email at SpideyDudeRadioNetwork@gmail.com. Leave us that 5-star review if you're listening to us on the audio edition. Let us know how we're doing. We'll read your feedback on a future episode. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. We'll see you next time here on the Spideydude Radio Network.